See jumpers come out of the airplane today. The airplane's 3,500 feet, and they're going to do a high altitude, low opening parachute drop, and that's going to be, you start to see the jumpers right there. You see the parachutes coming out, and what they're going to do, there's pretty strong winds up there. Those are people from the 103rd Rescue Squadron. That's part of our wing out there in West Hampton. What they're going to do is they've opened their parachutes and they're heading for the water. Now basically what you can picture is this scene unfolding. If you're, let's say, in a shipwreck or severely injured, again, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1,000 miles from land, and you've got basically nobody else to help you. They'll call us, and then you look up in the sky and see something like this happening. And those guys have medical equipment, basically everything to stabilize a person. You see these jumpers from the 103rd Rescue Squadron. Some of them are what we call PJs, which are para-rescue jumpers, and then one of them is probably a pro, that's a combat rescue officer. And basically it's an extremely large amount of training for them to do what they're going to do. They make it all look easy. But if you can picture this scene going on in the middle of the ocean someplace in the middle of the night, or let's say American soldiers hurt in Afghanistan, maybe in a crashed helicopter. Basically these guys would jump in with the jaws of life, actually cut open an aircraft or a vehicle or whatever, and be able to pull out the people inside and narrowly, but it's about 2 years worth of training. Basically, like you think of like a Navy SEAL and all the training that they go through, what they do is that basically they're expert marksmen with rifles, machine guns, pistols, and they're also very highly qualified medics. Anything that they can do to keep somebody alive, they'll be able to do it, and fly, fight, win, and provide air power for America. You can see right now what they're doing is they're lining up into the wind. They're trying to make it, because you think about how difficult it is to show the other people jumping here onto land, how difficult that is, but now you're jumping into the water. So they're thinking right now, I'm about to be underwater. There they go. There's 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. They're going into the water. And then basically what they're doing is looking for somebody out there in the water that they're going to swim to them, and they're going to try and render first aid, put them into a raft. They're only a few feet from that hose sticking out of the C-130, and basically what that is that way, even if it's 1,000 miles from land, the helicopter has very limited range, because it has to be able to stop and pick people out. There's always some kind of compromise when it comes to the capability of flying really far versus flying slow and fast. So what you'll see is the helicopter is going to be right behind the hose, and he's getting ready to plug in. And what he would do, if anybody saw the movie The Perfect Storm, that's partially based on our unit. So you'll see the helicopter basically trying to plug in. This is something that it might look really easy, but it's something that actually requires an enormous amount of training. If you look at the C-130, the C-130 today is being flown by my commander. That would be Lieutenant Colonel Rex Riley, and the other pilot is Lieutenant Kyle Cruz, both native Long Islanders from eastern Long Island. And they're flying right over the crowd today, and I want you to imagine how tough that is from that helicopter trying to plug in the probe that he has on the front of the helicopter into that little teeny basket, which is only a couple of feet wide. And if they can't plug in, then they're going swimming.
It's not telescope down all the way yet, is it?
Is that probe going to telescope down all the way? Yeah, I think it is.
Wow.
I think it is, yeah. So you can tell how tough that looks.
So that's about a 54-foot rotor diameter on the Blackhawk. So it's sticking out about 26 or 27 feet. Boy, that is close. Wow.
Yeah, very, very close. And you see the helicopter is breaking off. What he's going to do now, he's going to show you a different way to put the water. We have to put those para-rescue people in the water. There's something they call a low and slow. And what they're going to do is they're going to come over the area where the survivor might be, and they're going to go ahead and let some jumpers out of the aircraft into the water. And again, think of how difficult this is, especially if you're doing this at night, bad weather, foggy conditions at 2 o'clock in the morning, and trying to, it's a life or death situation. And definitely it can be a very tough situation.
And it takes an amazing amount of coordination among the crew members aboard the HH-60, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like you can see right now, the helicopters are flying the aircraft. You have a gunner and a flight engineer in the back, and basically they're helping guide the pilot towards the target in the water, and they're saying basically how far they are from the water. The helicopter's going to fly away, because take it from me, I've been hoisted up by that in a training exercise. It's like you're in a hurricane. You know, basically underneath that aircraft, there's a lot of wind and water flying all over the place. There's a C-130 coming over. Again, that's an HC-130 from the 106 Rescue.
The helicopter, the Lockheed HC-130, you see, is one of over 2,000 that have been built since the early 1950s, and it is one of the longest, if not the longest, production run of an aircraft in the history of aviation.
You can fly it high, you can fly it low. It's a very good airplane, very, very strong build. What you're going to see now is you look out at that helicopter, which again is a type of Blackhawk. It's built by Sikorsky helicopter, which Sikorsky, people don't realize, is right across the Long Island Sound. It's right over near Bridgeport, Connecticut, in its rescue wing, and it's flying in an orbit, just in case there's a launch. That could be an astronaut or something like that in a real-life situation. He's got the Survivor, that's what they call a Stokes splitter, and it's very tough. He's pulling it into the airplane, and if you can look close, you see a ladder just came out. And talk about physical fitness. Think about climbing up a tall ladder, and now think about climbing up that ladder. You definitely need to eat your Wheaties that morning.
This kind of coordination, again, the pilot can't see where he is. It's the crew chief or the flight mechanic that actually tells the pilot where to go, right?
Absolutely, and he's telling him he's like forward 5 feet, left, right on scene. In a real life situation, he might be relaying. You've got two pilots, a pilot, a co-pilot. You've got a flight engineer, you've got a navigator. That's what I am, just like Goose from Top Gun, but we don't have the cool names. That was the first thing to go on the budget cuts.
Or the cool helmet.
And then you've got the radio operator, and he's on up that door. They're the real business end of it. And if this is out in the middle of the ocean, we have what they call RAMs, which is a rigged alternate method Zodiac boat. They go ahead and push that out, and the jumpers would jump out right after it. And if it was someplace like Iraq or Afghanistan, we have like an ATV quad vehicle like you see on the beach, and they'll push out a couple of those, and the guys will jump to them.
The Herc can carry about 42,000 pounds of stuff, whatever it happens to be. The maximum weight of that Blackhawk helicopter is somewhere around 21,000 pounds, fully loaded, fully gassed, and of course the gas is not quite an issue when they got the HC-130. The Tomcat, the Thunderbolt, the Thunderbolt II, and the Sikorsky HH-60 helicopter.
Absolutely, definitely a very rich aviation. Got the public aviation is right up the road over here, so a lot of people don't realize the history around it. Great little aviation museum is also a great place to visit to learn about that.
You bet it is.
And what we're going to have now, we're going to have the HH-60 is going to make a pass, but in front of the crowd, here comes the Blackhawk. You see that Blackhawk flying around. You've got that American flag in the window. A little tough to see, but that's what it is. And basically, because I work for you, we work for the taxpayer. You know, that's a great thing about democracy is the military's here to help the civilian population.
It's interesting too, you know, we think about all of the hardware we're seeing, you know, every crew member aboard each of those aircraft and all the folks who have gone into the water and with the boats and everything from the 106th Rescue Wing are proud to show off the gear that actually belongs to all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely belongs to the taxpayers, and that's why you're going to see right now, and from Memorial Day weekend here, the helicopter's making a very slow pass, showing that American flag to remember those who went overseas to fight for America's freedom and never returned. Basically, and also on this Memorial Day weekend, if you could just take a moment of silence and think in the back of your mind about our brothers and sisters in the armed forces who are overseas, who are undergoing tremendous hardships to provide freedom for America.
Hovering a helicopter. It's kind of like standing on a beach ball, rubbing your tummy and patting your head all at the same time. The pilot's work is just not ever done. As a matter of fact, when they're flying at night and the night vision goggles, they have to turn on a flashlight. How do they do it?
Oh yeah, it's got to be night vision compatible. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. All the lighting in the aircraft at night, because we're night vision goggles, everything's very specially made.
To look at a chart or something, he actually pushes out on his bottom lip and turns a switch on his lip light.
Absolutely, a small light on his lip. And the jolly's doing a bow for the crowd. Again, a difficult maneuver. That's why I'm in C-130s, because I'm not that smart.
Of your New York Air National Guard. Look at that. That's the dance, isn't it? Going sideways. That's what Igor Sikorsky was able to make this aircraft do. He believed in rotary wing flight, and he always believed that the primary job of the helicopter should be a life-saving aerial vehicle. And Major Scott Stenger, you guys are using it to the max.
Thank you very much, sir. Tom Owens, he's my boss's boss. That makes him our commander.
Tom, welcome, sir.
Thanks very much. And as you heard, you can see why I brought Major Scott Stenger. How about a big round of applause for the job that he's just done?
Going on at Bethpage Federal Credit Union, you can help support military families on Long Island. Visit any of the Bethpage booths on the boardwalk today and support the United Way.